March 2012, Memphis, Tennessee. A kitchen table covered in photographs. Musty, faded, corners curled with age. Diane Land, 58, hands trembling as she holds a magnifying glass over a photo from 16 years ago. Coffee gone cold beside her. 3 hours spent scanning old pictures of her son Jude for a memorial website. What would have been his 38th birthday. Then she sees it. A man, standing near a gas pump in the background. Baseball cap pulled low, not pumping gas, just watching. She pulls another photo. Jude outside a diner, 2 weeks before he vanished. There, in the window reflection, the same man. Different clothes, same face, same eerie stillness. Third photo. Jude leaving basketball practice. The man leaning against a wall across the street. Fourth photo. Movie theater. Fifth, campus library. Sixth, corner store. The last picture ever taken of Jude, March 11th, 1996. 6 different locations, 6 different dates over 2.5 weeks. The same face in every one. Diane's hands shake so badly the photo slips from her fingers. "Oh my God," she whispers. "Someone was following my baby." Her sister Paulette finds her 20 minutes later. Photos spread across the table like evidence. Diane's finger tracing that man's face over and over. Some things can't be undone. This face, always in the background, always watching, had been invisible for 16 years. Preserved in moments nobody thought to examine closely. Who is this man? Why was he stalking a college basketball player? Did Jude know he was being hunted? Has this man been out there all these years while everyone assumed Jude just ran away? How did a college basketball player with everything to live for, a minor league contract offer, dreams of going pro, end up in the crosshairs of someone who stalks people like prey? When investigators finally identified the man in those photographs, they would expose a deadly secret buried for nearly 2 decades. A secret about loyalty, sacrifice, and a young man who made one selfless, catastrophic decision that would cost him everything. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button because the stories we cover will keep you up at night. This one especially. Jude Anthony Lang, 22 years old in March 1996. 6'3", shooting guard for Tennessee State University, known for that gap-toothed smile that made everyone feel like his best friend the moment they met him. He wasn't a superstar. He was solid, reliable, the kind of player coaches love. Showed up early, stayed late, never complained about playing time. Averaged 14 points a game, decent three-point shooter, better defender than his stats suggested. But basketball was just part of who Jude was. He worked part-time at Foot Locker in the mall, never missed a shift, used the money to help his mom Diane with bills. A single mother, working double shifts at a textile factory, sacrificing everything so Jude could focus on school and ball. His father had walked out when Jude was 7. Jude remembered. Jude never forgot what his mother gave up for him. Every Sunday, without fail, Jude called home. Didn't matter if they just talked the day before. Sunday was their day. He'd tell her about classes, about games, about the girl he was finally getting serious with, Amy Alonzo, nursing student. Made him laugh in a way that felt like coming home. His dorm room still had his childhood teddy bear on the shelf. That's the kind of kid Jude was. 22 years old, 6'3" athlete, not embarrassed about the stuffed animal his mom gave him when he was 4. March 1996, everything was finally coming together. A minor league team in Portland had been scouting him. Contract offer was coming any day. Not the NBA, but professional basketball. A chance to play, to get paid, to take care of his mom the way she'd taken care of him. Jude had no idea that an away game in Little Rock, Arkansas would put him on a collision course with people who made murder look like business as usual. He had no idea that trying to protect someone he loved would actually sign his own death warrant. And he definitely had no idea that 16 years later, his mother would find 6 photographs that would finally tell her what happened to her boy. For 16 years, the man in those photographs was just background noise, ignored like a street sign, like a passing car, like wallpaper.
Nobody looks at the strangers in the background of family photos. Nobody studies the faces that don't belong. But Diane looked, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. White male, 30s to 40s, average build, average height, the kind of forgettable that's actually useful if your job requires blending in. Baseball cap pulled low in every shot, but 6 different photos captured his face clearly enough. Different hats, different jackets, always casual clothing that wouldn't draw attention. But look closer at those photos. Really look, and the red flags appear like cracks in ice. Gas station on Winchester Road, February 27, 1996. He's standing by a pump. Not pumping gas, not going inside, just standing there, positioned with a perfect sightline to Jude filling up his old Honda Civic. Everyone else in the frame is in motion, getting in cars, walking to pay, talking on payphones. This man is still, watching. Diner on Pauper Avenue, March 2nd. Visible through the window, sitting alone at a booth. No food on the cable, no menu. Just coffee and those same eyes tracking Jude and Amy as they laugh over pancakes, completely unaware they're being observed like specimens under glass. Outside the movie theater on Highland Street, March 8th. Everyone else is heading inside or leaving. This man is leaning against a wall, arms crossed, not checking his watch, not waiting for anyone. Just positioned where he can see Jude walk Amy to her car.
Campus Library, March 10th. In the background of a candid shot Jude's roommate took. Most people would miss him completely, partially obscured by a tree, far enough away to seem coincidental. But the angle of his body, the direction of his gaze, always Jude. Corner store near Jude's apartment, March 11th. The last photograph. The man is across the street, hands in his pockets, that same focused stillness. This photo was taken at 4:47 p.m. By 10 p.m. that night, Jude Lang would be gone. What nobody knew at the time was that this man wasn't just watching Jude Lang. He was doing what he'd been hired to do for over a decade. Surveillance, pattern recognition, identifying vulnerabilities, waiting for the perfect moment to make someone disappear without a trace. And while Jude was thinking about his upcoming contract, about moving to Portland with Amy, about finally making his mother proud and giving her the life she deserved, this man was taking notes, documenting routines, learning schedules, mapping out the exact locations where a young man could be taken without witnesses, without cameras, without anyone noticing until it was far too late. But why? What could a college basketball player with a clean record, no enemies, no debts, no dangerous connections, what could he have possibly done to warrant this kind of attention from what would later be identified as a professional killer with at least 8 unsolved disappearances connected to his name? The answer to that question starts 3 weeks earlier, in Little Rock, Arkansas, in an alley behind a sports bar, with 2 people who witnessed something they were never supposed to see. February 23rd, 1996, Tennessee State versus Arkansas Tech in Little Rock. Just another away game in the long season that had been grinding on since November. The team bus rolled into Little Rock at 6:47 p.m. on Friday evening. Jude roomed with his teammate Devin Moore at the Budget Inn on Highway 10. The kind of place with thin walls and ice machines that sound like avalanches at 2 a.m. Game was scheduled for Saturday, 7 o'clock tip-off. Friday night, Jude called his mom, told her scouts were coming to watch, told her he felt good, ready, confident, everything normal, everything fine. Amy Alonso had driven down separately from Memphis, 5 hours in her beat-up Toyota Corolla because she wanted to watch Jude play, wanted to support him during what might be his big break. She stayed at a different hotel, the Comfort Inn, near the arena, called Jude when she arrived. They made plans for Saturday afternoon, grabbed food before the game, just the 2 of them. Saturday, 3 p.m. They met at a local sports bar called Shooters, 2 blocks from the arena. Burgers and fries. Amy teased Jude about being nervous. Jude pretended he wasn't, but his leg bounced under the table, that telltale sign Amy had learned to recognize. They left around 5:30 p.m. Jude needed to be at the arena by 6 for warm-ups.
Instead of walking back the main route through crowds of early arriving fans, they cut through an alley behind the bar. Shortcut, faster, quieter. The kind of decision you make 100 times without thinking. The kind that usually means nothing. This time it meant everything. The alley smelled like grease and garbage, dumpsters lined against brick walls, broken glass crunching under their shoes. 50 feet in, they heard voices. Sharp. Angry. Then they saw them. 2 men. One on his knees, hands zip-tied behind his back, head down like he was praying or maybe just accepting what was about to happen. The other, standing over him, gun already drawn, arm extended with the casual efficiency of someone who'd done this before. Jude and Amy froze. Just 2 seconds. But 2 seconds was enough. The gunshot cracked through the alley like a whip, that sound that's never quite what movies make you think it'll be. Sharper, flatter, more final. The kneeling man dropped, face first onto the concrete. Blood pooled dark and fast, spreading like spilled paint. The shooter turned. Frank Moran. 52 years old, though Jude and Amy didn't know his name then, they just saw a man in an Arkansas Tech jacket, the rival team, with a gun still smoking in his hand and eyes that went cold and calculating the instant they locked onto 2 college kids who'd just seen something they absolutely should not have seen. Nobody moved. The moment stretched like taffy, sticky and impossible. Jude could hear Amy's breathing, shallow and panicked beside him, could feel his own heart slamming against his ribs so hard it hurt. Then Jude grabbed Amy's hand and they ran. Feet pounding on concrete, lungs burning, that crack still echoing in their heads. They burst out of the alley onto a crowded street, into a sea of people heading to the arena, and they kept running until they reached the team entrance, until Jude's coach saw his face and asked what the hell was wrong. Jude lied. Said he'd almost been mugged. Said he was fine. Said he just needed a minute, but he wasn't fine. Neither of them was fine. Jude played the worst game of his college career that night. 2 points, 5 turnovers, couldn't focus. Couldn't think about anything except that man on his knees and that crack, and those cold, calculating eyes that had seen their faces. Back at the Budget Inn after the game, Jude and Amy sat on the edge of his bed, still wearing their game day clothes, still shaking. Amy spoke first, voice small, terrified. "We have to tell someone." Jude saw her fear, saw how her hands trembled, saw how young she looked, how scared. 21 years old, nursing student, 2 years left of school, whole life ahead of her. He made a decision. "Listen to me," Jude said, taking both her hands. "I'm the one who's going to report this. Just me. I'll say I was alone, cutting through to get to the arena early. You were never there." Amy started to protest, but Jude kept talking. "I'm leaving for Portland anyway, right? Contract's coming. I'll be out of state, new city, new life. You've still got 2 years here. You can't run, but I can." "Jude, I'm the one who's going to report this, just me. I'll say I was alone, cutting through to get to the arena early. You were never there." The logic seemed sound in that moment, in that cheap hotel room with police sirens wailing somewhere in the distance. Draw the target to himself, protect the woman he loved, be the hero. Sunday morning, Jude made the call from a payphone in the hotel lobby. Anonymous tip to Little Rock PD. Described Frank Moran perfectly. The jacket, the execution-style shooting, the victim, the time, the location. Gave details only a witness could know. Refused to give his name, just that he was passing through town and did the right thing. What Jude didn't know, what he couldn't have known, was that Little Rock PD had 3 cops on Frank Moran's payroll. Within an hour, Boomer knew someone had witnessed the hit. Within 6 hours, he knew it was someone connected to the Tennessee State basketball team that had played in town that weekend. Within 12 hours, he'd made a phone call to a man who specialized in making problems disappear quietly. The man who would appear in 6 photographs over the next 2.5 weeks. The man who would learn Jude Lang's routines, his schedule, his vulnerabilities. The man who would wait for the perfect moment. Jude had 17 days left to live. Before we continue, I need to pause because what's about to unfold will challenge everything you think about protection and sacrifice. What comes next gets darker, more complicated, and honestly, more heartbreaking than anything we've covered so far. Because Jude thought he was protecting Amy, thought drawing the target onto himself was noble. But professional killers don't take chances. They don't leave loose ends. And when that stalker started following Jude back to Memphis, he was building a file on both of them. Jude returned to campus February 25, 1996. By March 11th, he was gone.
March 12, 1996. Jude Lang didn't show up for Monday morning practice. Coach Williams called his dorm at 6:15 a.m. No answer. Called Foot Locker. Jude had missed his Saturday shift. First time ever. By noon, his roommate, Devin, reported that Jude's bed hadn't been slept in. Keys still in his backpack. Wallet on his desk with $47 inside. Diane Lang filed a missing persons report March 13th after Jude missed their Sunday call. That had never happened. Not once in 4 years of college. Memphis PD Detective James Weaver, 15 years on the force, took the case. Saw it immediately as a runaway situation. Young man. Pressure from scouts. Contract decision looming. Classic cold feet scenario. Jude's car sat untouched in the campus parking lot. His phone record showed the last call made to Amy Alonzo at 6:23 p.m. on March 11th. 8-minute conversation. Amy told police Jude sounded stressed about the Portland decision, but hopeful. She noticed nothing unusual. She was lying, but Detective Weaver had no reason to suspect that. No signs of struggle in his dorm room. No threatening messages. No debts. No enemies anyone knew about. Clean record, good kid, beloved by teammates and professors. He'll turn up in a few days embarrassed, Weaver told Diane. These kids sometimes just need space to figure things out. But days became weeks. No bank account activity, no credit card usage, no sightings. Jude Lang had evaporated like morning fog, leaving behind everything that mattered to him. His mother, his dreams, his entire life.
Diane Lang never stopped. She hired 3 different private investigators over the years. Each one hit the same dead ends. She created missing persons flyers, distributed them across 5 states, posted them in bus stations and truck stops and anywhere transient people might have seen her son. She attended support groups for families of the missing, sat in circles with other parents who understood that particular torture of not knowing. Jude's bedroom remained frozen in time. Shoes by the bed, textbooks on the desk, NBA poster on the wall. His childhood teddy bear watching the door, waiting for Jude to come home. Every birthday, every Christmas, every Sunday that should have been a phone call, Diane visited Memphis PD asking for updates. Detective Weaver retired in 2004, gave Diane his personal number, told her he was sorry he couldn't find her son. He meant it. Some cases haunt you. Diane lost her job at the textile factory in 2001, couldn't focus, couldn't function. Her sister Paulette moved in to help with bills, to keep Diane from drowning completely in grief and obsession. The not knowing is what kills you, Diane said in a 2005 local news interview, one of many desperate attempts to keep Jude's face in the public eye. If he's dead, I need to bury my baby. If he's alive, I need to tell him I love him. This in-between, it's like dying slowly, one day at a time.
March 2012. Jude would have turned 38. Diane decided to digitize his photos for a memorial website, a way to keep his memory alive, to show the world who he was beyond a missing person statistic. She started scanning chronologically. High school graduation, college games, family cookouts. Then she reached the envelope marked March 1996, last photos. 6 photographs taken in the final 2.5 weeks of Jude's life. That's when she saw him, the man in the background, the same face appearing again and again across different locations, different dates, always watching,
always positioned with clear sight lines to her son. March 19, 2012, Diane Lang called Memphis PD Cold Case Unit. Detective Lisa Brennan answered. 8 years working cold cases, 43 solved, learned long ago to manage expectations. But when Diane Lang laid those 6 photographs on her desk, when Brennan saw that face repeated across time and space like a ghost haunting the edges of a young man's life, she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Actual hope. Detective Brennan scanned the photos in high resolution, enhanced the stalker's face using 2012 facial recognition technology, ran the images through FBI's database. She also called Little Rock PD, protocol when Memphis cases might connect to out-of-state crimes. Spoke with Detective Martin Warren about any unsolved murders around February 1996. Warren called back within 72 hours. We had an execution February 23, 1996. Raymond Torres, shot behind a sports bar. Anonymous tip came in the next day with details only the killer or a witness would know. Caller wouldn't identify himself, said he was just passing through. We could never trace it. Payphone from a hotel. Tennessee State played Arkansas Tech here that weekend. You said your missing person was a basketball player? Brannon's chest tightened. Jude Lang wasn't running away. He was running from something. March 25, 2012. FBI facial recognition database pinged a match. Gerald and Gary Millhouse, age 54, currently serving 25 to life in Arkansas State Prison for second-degree murder. Arrested in 2003 for killing a witness in a robbery case. Known associate of Frank Boomer Moran's criminal organization. Brennan pulled his file. Career criminal, freelance enforcer, professional stalker for hire. Suspected in 8 to 12 unsolved disappearances across Arkansas, Tennessee, and Mississippi between 1988 and 2003. His specialty? Surveillance, pattern documentation, making people vanish without a trace. She pulled Frank Moran's file next. Suspected drug and gun trafficker. 14 arrests, 2 convictions on reduced charges. Known for being ruthless with witnesses. Several disappeared before trials could proceed. Still operating in 2012, now 68, semi-retired but still connected. Detective Brennan sat in her office staring at those photographs, at Jerry Millhouse's cold professional gaze captured 6 times in backgrounds nobody had examined closely enough. Jude Lang had witnessed a murder, made an anonymous call trying to do the right thing, and signed his own death warrant. But Brennan was about to discover something that would complicate everything, because Jude wasn't just protecting himself when he refused to give his name on that call. He was protecting someone else, and that person had been living with the secret for 16 years. April 2012. Detective Brennan and Detective Warren traveled to Arkansas State Prison. Brennan offered a deal, information about Jude Lang in exchange for parole consideration. Millhouse resisted until Brennan slid the 6 enhanced photographs across the table, his face in every single one, clear as day. Long silence. Then, "You guys are good. I didn't think anyone would ever connect those dots." The confession spilled out methodically, professionally, like a man discussing paperwork instead of murder. Boomer paid me $15,000 to handle a problem. Some basketball player witnessed him take care of business in Little Rock, made an anonymous call. Boomer's got cops on payroll. They figured out it was someone from that Tennessee team. I followed all 6 players. Jude Lang was nervous, jumpy, kept looking over his shoulder. That's how I knew. Millhouse tracked Jude for 17 days, learned his schedule, classes, practice, work, girlfriend's apartment, documented everything in a notebook investigators would never find. March 11, 1996. Jude left Amy's apartment at 9:47 p.m., walked his usual route down Spotswood Avenue. Millhouse waited in a dark blue van, pulled up asking for directions. Jude leaned in to help. Nice kid, eager to assist. Chloroform. 30 seconds. Gone. Drove Jude to a rural property in Fayette County, Tennessee, 50 miles east of Memphis. Property owned by a shell company connected to Moran. Boomer wanted to make sure the kid was the only witness, that he hadn't told anyone else. The kid was brave, didn't cry, didn't beg, Just kept saying it was only him. March 12th, approximately 6 a.m., Frank Moran arrived. Made the final decision. Single gunshot. Same execution style as Raymond Torres. Body buried in the woods. Unmarked grave. That kid didn't deserve what happened. He was just wrong place, wrong time. Brennan had her confession, had the burial location. After 16 years, Diane could finally bring Jude home. Then Brennan asked one more question. When you followed Jude, did you notice his girlfriend, Amy Alonzo? Did you follow her too?
Milhouse nodded. Standard protocol. Tailed her a few days to make sure the target wasn't spreading information. She was there too, you know. In the alley. The girl saw it too. Brennan's blood went cold. What do you mean she was there? During the interrogation, Boomer pressed the kid hard. Were you alone? Who was with you? Jude kept denying it, but Boomer had done his homework. Phone records showed Jude called the girl right after the murder. 47-minute call. Her car was spotted near the arena. Boomer knew he was lying. Eventually, Jude broke. Admitted his girlfriend witnessed it too, but Jude had made the anonymous call. Jude took responsibility. Jude was trying to protect her. Boomer asked where the girl was. Jude said she'd left town, gone home, we'd never find her. That was a lie. She was still in Memphis, still in nursing school. But Jude kept lying, even with a gun to his head, kept drawing fire to himself. Boomer eventually believed him, figured the girlfriend got scared and wasn't worth tracking down. The kid who made the call was the real threat. So, they eliminated the threat. Brennan sat there feeling sick. Jude Lang died protecting Amy Alonzo. Took sole blame for the witness call. Let them think he was the only problem. And Amy let him.
May 2012. Brennan tracked down Amy Alonzo, now Amy Patterson, living in Charlotte, North Carolina. Married 12 years to Robert Patterson, a dentist. 3 children, ages 10, 7, and 4, working as a nurse practitioner. Active in church, PTA president. Perfect suburban life. Brennan showed up at her door on a Wednesday afternoon. The moment Amy saw the badge, she knew. You're here about Jude. Amy had been waiting 16 years for this knock. She explained everything. The alley, the murder. Jude convincing her to let him take the fall because he was leaving for Portland anyway, because she still had 2 years of school left. He said he'd be safe once he was out of state, that I couldn't run, but he could. When Jude vanished, Amy knew immediately something was wrong, but she was too terrified to come forward. If I told them what we saw, they'd kill me too. I know that's selfish. I know that's cowardly, but I was so scared. She'd convinced herself maybe Jude ran away, maybe he was alive somewhere. As years passed, guilt consumed her, but self-preservation was stronger. Now she was married with children. Coming forward meant destroying her current family, admitting she let an innocent man die for her. I think about him every day. I see what I took from his mother. I know I don't deserve the life I have. Jude gave me this life, and I took it. Brennan presented the dilemma. We need your testimony against Moran. Without it, he might walk on the Torres murder. Amy's face crumbled. If I testify, they'll kill me. Moran is still connected. I have children. I can't. The impossible choice crystallized. Amy's testimony could bring full justice, but it would destroy the life Jude died protecting and potentially endanger her family. Brennan left Charlotte with Amy's recorded statement, but she still had to tell Diane Lang the truth, that her son died a hero protecting a woman who'd spent 16 years building a life on top of his grave. June 2012. Detective Brennan brought Diane Lang to her office. We found Jude. We can bring him home. Diane collapsed into the chair. 16 years of hoping and dreading finally colliding. Where is my baby? Brennan explained everything. The photos leading to Jerry Milhouse. The Little Rock murder Jude witnessed. How he tried to do the right thing and was hunted for it. Kidnapped, interrogated, killed because he wouldn't stay silent. June 18th, 2012. FBI forensic team excavated the rural property in Fayette County. Found human remains buried 4 feet deep. Dental records confirmed. Jude Anthony Lang. Also recovered his Tennessee State class ring and the watch Diane gave him for his 21st birthday. Diane finally had her son back. The not knowing had been torture, but the knowing was somehow worse. Why? Why my son? This was Brennan's moment of truth. She told Diane everything. About Amy, about Jude taking sole responsibility. About Amy's life now. Married, children, built everything on Jude's sacrifice. Diane sat in silence. Then, he died for her. And she never said anything. For 16 years, she let me wonder while she knew what really happened. The rage and grief battled inside her. She wanted Amy prosecuted, wanted her to lose everything. But also, my son loved her. He chose to protect her. If I destroy her now, doesn't that make his sacrifice meaningless?
Jerry Millhouse was charged with first-degree murder, kidnapping, and conspiracy. With his confession and body recovery, the case was airtight. But Frank Moran was more complicated. Prosecutors wanted Amy's testimony to connect him to both the Torres murder and Jude's death. Without her, the case was weak. DA Carol Henderson pushed hard. She's the only living witness to the Torres murder. Without her, Moran walked. Feds offered Amy witness protection, new identities, relocation, financial support for her entire family. But it meant leaving everything, telling her husband and children the truth, destroying the life Jude died giving her. Diane faced an impossible choice. Force Amy to testify and potentially endanger her, or let Moran potentially walk free.
October 2012. Jerry Millhouse tried for Jude Lang's murder in Memphis. Prosecution presented his full confession, the 6 photographs showing systematic stalking, forensic evidence, timeline documentation. Defense didn't deny the killing, argued diminished capacity, following orders, attempted to paint Moran as the mastermind. Diane testified with a victim impact statement, described Jude's dreams, his kindness, 16 years of not knowing. Jude called me every Sunday. For 16 years I waited for the phone to ring. It never did, because of that man. Amy didn't testify, wasn't relevant to Millhouse's murder charge, but her absence was felt. November 2012. Guilty on all counts. Judge Patricia Studi sentenced him to life without parole. Jude Lang was 22 with his whole life ahead. You took that future from him and took a son from his mother. Millhouse died in prison April 2014 from cancer. Frank Moran was arrested for conspiracy in Jude's murder. Tried spring 2013. Without Amy's testimony, prosecution relied on Millhouse's confession and circumstantial evidence. Convicted of conspiracy, sentenced to 25 years, now 79, serving time in Arkansas State Prison, will likely die incarcerated. But he was acquitted of the Raymond Torres murder. Without Amy's corroborating witness testimony, Millhouse's word alone wasn't enough. January 2013. Diane requested a meeting with Amy. They met at a victims advocacy center in Memphis. Amy trembling, Diane's voice cold. You let my son die for you. You built a life, well, I couldn't even bury mine. How am I supposed to forgive that? You're not. I don't deserve forgiveness. Did you love him? Yes. God, yes. Jude was the best person I've ever known, and I let him die because I was weak and scared. I've hated myself every day since. Amy brought photographs, pictures of her and Jude from 1995, 1996, that Diane had never seen. Jude laughing, holding Amy, looking happier than Diane remembered. Diane's tears came looking at her son's face. The prosecutors want you to testify. What are you going to do? I want to do the right thing, but I have 3 kids who don't know any of this. If I testify, even with witness protection, we'll spend our lives looking over our shoulders. Do my kids deserve that? Diane was silent. Then, Jude protected you because he believed your life was worth saving. If something happens to you or your children, he died for nothing. I want Moran to pay, But Jude made his choice. Maybe honoring my son means respecting that choice. But you have to tell your family the truth. Jude gave you a life. Live it honestly. Amy promised. Through tears, she agreed. I don't forgive you. I don't know if I ever will, but I won't force you to testify. Go home to your children. Live the life my son died giving you. And never forget what it cost.
Amy kept her promise, told her husband Robert in February 2013. Marriage survived through intensive therapy, told her children an age-appropriate version. Family stayed in Charlotte, declined witness protection. Amy started a scholarship fund in Jude's name for student athletes at Tennessee State. Remains in contact with Diane through letters, though they've never met again. Jude's remains were buried December 2012 at Elmwood Cemetery, funeral attended by over 300 people. Diane visits every Sunday, the day he used to call. Diane became an advocate for families of missing persons, speaks at schools about witness intimidation. Still lives in the same house. Jude's bedroom remains largely untouched, though she added Amy's photos to the walls. When asked in 2018 if she'd forgiven Amy, Diane said, "Forgiveness is complicated. I'm working on it. Some days are better than others." Tennessee State renamed their athletic academic center the Jude Lang Academic Excellence Center. Annual basketball tournament held in his honor. What remains unknown? How many other victims connected to Moran's organization were never discovered? Were there other witnesses to the Torres murder who stayed silent? Did corrupt Little Rock cops face consequences? They didn't. Investigations went nowhere. Would Jude have been safer contacting FBI instead of local police? The case exposed how criminal organizations use fear to silence witnesses, highlighted failures in witness protection systems for young people who witness crimes in unfamiliar jurisdictions, showed devastating ripple effects, not just on victims, but families who spend years without answers. The moral complexity haunts everyone involved. Was Jude heroic or foolish? Did Amy owe it to his memory to testify despite personal risk? Was Diane right to prioritize Amy's safety over full justice? Can someone live a good life built on another's sacrifice? If you witness a serious crime, contact federal authorities immediately, not local police who might be compromised. Never handle witness situations alone. Document everything, including people following you. Trust your instincts. Jude Lang was 22 when he made a split-second decision to protect the woman he loved. He couldn't have known it would cost him his life. Couldn't have known his mother would search for 16 years. Couldn't have known Amy would build an entire life on his sacrifice. So I want you to think, was Jude's sacrifice worth it? Did Amy earn the life he gave her? If someone you loved was willing to die for you, could you live with that choice? Let me know in the comments. Do you think Diane made the right choice not forcing Amy to testify? Or should justice have come before protecting Amy's family? Have you ever kept a secret that grew heavier with time? Drop your thoughts below. Diane said in 2020, "People ask if I have closure. I don't know if closure is possible when you've lost a child, but I have answers. I know he died trying to protect someone, which is the most Jude thing he could have done. Do I wish Amy had come forward 16 years ago? Every day. But Jude made his choice. I have to trust my son knew what he was doing, even if I don't understand it. I miss him. God, I miss him. But at least now I can say goodbye." If you made it this far, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Share this if Jude's story deserves to be heard. Remember, the people we love are capable of extraordinary sacrifice. Honor that by living fully, honestly, without wasting the precious time you've been given. Stay safe out there. And maybe tonight, dig out some old photographs. You never know what you might notice that you missed the first time.